newborn gang, a dark betrayal in healthcare. It all began with an anonymous tip on March 27, 2023. But could anyone have anticipated the gravity of what lay behind this report? A dark incident emerging from neonatal intensive care units in private hospitals in Istanbul shook the healthcare system to its core. According to the allegations, the health status of healthy babies was being falsely reported as severe, and Social Security Institution (SGK) funds were being fraudulently exploited. But who were the masterminds behind this heinous scheme? Who were these people risking the lives of innocent babies while stealing money from the state and their families? When the seriousness of the situation was recognized, it was not just the healthcare sector that was shocked. The entire public was stunned. The Financial Crimes Department deepened the investigation. But here's the question. How could a hospital turn a blind eye to such a large-scale fraud scheme? The extent of the operation was staggering. Healthy babies were being labeled as sick and admitted to intensive care, with fake reports being used to extract money from both the government and families. But there was an even darker side to the story. Who was powerful enough to manipulate the healthcare system so effortlessly? Rising tension. Dr. Fırat Sarı and Dr. İlker Gönen. This is where the name of Dr. Fırat Sarı emerged. As the owner of Medisense Healthcare Services, Sarı was at the forefront of this dark plot. Another key figure was Dr. İlker Gönen, who, in collaboration with the 112 emergency call center, facilitated the transfer of newborns to these hospitals. As the investigation deepened, more details began to surface. Victims' testimonies, a life and death struggle overshadowed by money. The indictment prepared by the Bakırköy chief. Public prosecutor's office revealed the testimony of one of the victims, MHK, a father. On November 13, 2023, MHK took his 28-week pregnant wife, ZK, to Esenkan Hospital in Esenyurt due to blood pressure issues. However, after being made to wait for 4 hours, they were told, "Our intensive care units are full," and were redirected to Guni Hospital in Izmir. MHK stated that Guni Hospital sent a private ambulance and took his wife, ZK, for emergency delivery as soon as she arrived. While he was anxious about his wife's condition, hospital staff immediately demanded 8,000 teraliters from him, insisting that 4,000 teraliters must be paid in cash and the remaining 4,000 teraliters via bank card. He complied, withdrawing the cash from a nearby ATM and handing it over to the hospital staff without receiving any receipt or documentation. MHK described this experience as a significant disappointment and victimization. You won't believe what you're about to hear. Even with his body language, you can understand a little bit of what he is trying to say. In fact, what we are about to witness reveals the lengths to which a group of people, blinded by money and devoid of any human emotion, will go for the sake of profit. Hopefully, none of us will ever encounter such people in our lives. Naturally, one might wonder how someone could access such detailed information about a prosecutor without the authority or permission to do so. Of course, the trail leads back to a few security personnel willing to sell themselves for money. Just a few days before this meeting, they collected all information about the prosecutor and his family from official state systems and passed it on to the man who threatened the prosecutor. Threatening the public prosecutor in his office. MK visited the prosecutor in his office and first insisted on the release of the suspect, and went further and made statements that if the prosecutor shared a photo with him on social media, no one could touch him. Then, despite the prosecutor's statement that he loves his country, he threatened the prosecutor with his family and relatives, and then threatened to kill himself and tried to get him to do what he wanted. But at the time, he was unaware that there was a camera recording of all these conversations. A prosecutor who performs his duty not just because it's a job, but with a sense of responsibility, has refused to turn a blind eye to the illegal acts of a handful of people who call themselves a gang, and in doing so, has likely saved the lives of hundreds of babies. By preventing the tears of hundreds of parents and sparing them from losing tens of thousands of dollars in a desperate hope, he has shown everyone what it means to be an exemplary colleague and a model public servant. The word freedom did not last long for this man and woman, who were unaware of what would happen to them in the end, and they were brought back to the courthouse, where they had threatened the prosecutor, handcuffed behind their backs. And now everyone has learned that when a prosecutor wants to be photographed, he or she will be photographed. Criminal charges and sentencing requests. The indictment by the Bakırköy Chief Public Prosecutor's Office called for severe punishments. It demanded prison sentences ranging from 177 years and 6 months to 582 years and 9 months for the suspects Fırat Sarı and İlker Gönen, who were charged with negligent homicide, aggravated fraud, establishing a criminal organization, and forgery of official documents. For another suspect, Giyaseden Mert Özdemir, the requested prison term ranged from 180 years to 589 years and 9 months for similar charges. Furthermore, the indictment requested that the hospitals and companies involved be closed down and that their assets be confiscated. Public outcry and the impact on society. With the deepening of the investigation, the Ministry of Health announced new steps. Stricter inspections and measures were promised to prevent similar incidents from happening again. However, regaining public trust, once shattered, was far more challenging. People not only witnessed how the healthcare system could be exploited, but also felt the profound trauma experienced by the families of the affected newborns. This incident exposed major vulnerabilities within the healthcare sector. Even worse, it revealed that opportunism and dark interest could emerge at the most vulnerable moments of life, when a baby is born. To play so ruthlessly with the lives of newborns was not merely a corruption scandal. It was a horrifying betrayal that shook the conscience of humanity, exploiting the most precious things in people's lives, their children, while looking them straight in the eye. This was a crime that not only the law, but also humanity itself, could never forgive. Victimization.